This episode of Test Drive is brought to you by Elmec and their EV Duty Smart Home Charger.
Hey everybody, I'm back. I know it's been about a month since I've done a video, but I dropped off my last press car about a month ago, which was on the 2022 Mazda MX-30 EV. And that wasn't a very popular car by the looks of it. Doesn't seem like there's a lot of people that are interested in it. So now I'm going to see, is there interest in you guys seeing what's going on with my little Focus Electric here as we do a 3-month, 5,000 kilometer update video. But before we do that, I want to congratulate everybody here on getting us to 40,000 subscribers. Yes, that's right. Finally hit that 40,000 mark. Thank you to absolutely everybody who has subscribed and who has stuck around and watched this channel and has continued to watch the videos, whether the old ones or whatever I've been doing recently. Thank you very much. We're at 40,000, so happy, and it would not be possible without you. So I just wanted to make a mention of that. I'm not going to do anything dramatic. I don't have any opportunity to do that, but I just wanted to give everybody a nice, warm thank you for helping me get to that number. It took quite a bit longer than I was expecting it to, but we're finally there. So thank you. Let's move on to the Focus. I've had it now, as I said, almost exactly 3 months now. I bought it in September, just at the beginning of that month, and here we are now. I've put on 5,000 kilometers. So it means I'm on track to do about 20,000 kilometers a year. The thing is, I'm going to be doing way more than that because I bought this car and I still had press cars until about the mid to end of, what was it, October, maybe a little bit into November even. So it's been a little while that I wasn't actually using it full time. And I have been almost exclusively for the past 5-6 weeks. But I want to go over a lot of the information that comes with not only owning an electric car, but some of the things that I've learned over the last little while as an actual EV owner, now that I've had to use the infrastructure both here at home, where I'm going to class, and everything in between. Now I have a much better idea of how it is to live with on a daily basis. Now, I was also planning to do sort of a fall, winter, spring, summer set of videos for all the electric cars that we're going to be doing. As I have mentioned before, we're going to be shifting focus a little bit more to electric stuff. So I was thinking, hey, it's a great opportunity since we're in a climate that gets very cold and very hot. Gives me a good chance to test these vehicles. So I can technically book the same car 4 times a year and be able to do some different testing. However, we don't really have fall here in Quebec. It went from essentially, like nice 10, 15 degree weather to minus 20 pretty quickly. So the testing that I've been doing with this car over the last couple months has been pretty much between like minus 15, almost minus 20 degrees already, up to about 10 to 15 degrees. Now that's all in Celsius, but specifically the last week or so, it's been going from about minus 10 degrees to about 10 degrees. So about 20 degrees of difference between those dates. Some days it's warm and cold. Now, I've been seeing about 115 to 146 kilometers of total range. Keep in mind, when this thing was new, it would do 186, 185 kilometers, fully electric, and that's based on Ford's testing. And yeah, I could get it pretty close on some of those warmer days to 180 by turning off the air conditioning. You can probably hear it actually is running right now, but I don't see that number. We understand that. Obviously, it's colder out. The batteries don't perform as well as they do during those warmer months. And also, because it's cold out, means the heating system needs to be on all the time in the car, so it uses up more electricity. That makes sense. There's a couple things that I've learned as I mentioned about driving this car. Number one, I'm using a lot of level 3 charging stations. There's a number of them here in Quebec. We've got a lot that use a 50 kilowatt system, but there are more that are using 100, 150, and I know that they're going to be rolling out even higher power, and they're also going to be changing the way that those work in terms of billing. Right now it's just billed per hour, but not really how much electricity you use, which we're going to talk about in a second. My Focus Electric here averages about 42 kilowatts at those 50 kilowatt chargers. This is actually really good. Something like the Mazda MX-30, I think it was about 32 to 34 kilowatts that it would use at peak power and then kind of drop off a little bit. And pretty much all the other electric cars that I've tested will never get quite as close. Nobody's ever actually hit 50 when using a 50 kilowatt charger, but this one is actually the highest. It gets up there pretty quick. And my car doesn't slow down at 80% 100% charge, it'll slow down at 90%. So I can go on a level 3 to 90% at full power, and then it starts to trickle down. So you could charge this to 100% on a level 3, but you're going to be using less and less electricity. From about 90 to, I don't know, about 95%, it's still more than you would get at a level 2, but then 95 plus, you're better off just going to a level 2. It's going to charge a whole lot less to your credit card or to your account. But as I mentioned, Quebec will be changing that. I believe it's February 1st, 2022. So great charging on that. Now it costs me about $2.80 to use a level 3 charging station, and I'll charge it for about 15 minutes. My daily commute now is 91 kilometers, so I'll drive about 60 to get to the most convenient level 2 charger, and I charge it up for about 15 minutes, costs me $2.80. And then when I come home at night, it's almost empty. It'll charge up, takes about 5 hours to get it fully charged, even less, you know, between 4 and 5 if it's pretty much empty. And that costs me about $1.70, depending on how low the battery is, but it's anywhere from about $1.60 to about $1.85. So it's costing me about $4.50 per day to use this car. How much per 100 kilometers? Well, it's about $2.50. Now gas here in Quebec costs about $1.56 per liter, so you can get about 1.6 liters of gas for the same price that it costs me to charge up this car per 100 kilometers. Is there a car on earth that can do 1.6 liters per 100 kilometers? Honda Clarity was it, and that was because it was a plug-in hybrid. So there aren't any vehicles that you can get for that level of fuel economy. This car is more energy efficient and more cost effective than any gas car I've driven so far. Does that make sense though? And that's the point of this video. Have I made a terrible mistake buying this vehicle? I don't know yet. The jury is still out, but I am telling you that it has been somewhat difficult. We're going to talk about that when we go on the road test now, as I discuss how it is to live with the 2018 Ford Focus Electric. All right, let's address what I say in the title of this video, have I made a huge mistake? Because if you guys actually watch my stuff, you know that I don't do clickbait. So this isn't meant to be clickbaity. I am genuinely trying to figure out, have I made a giant mistake buying this car? Now, why is that? When I bought this, I wanted an electric car, and I really did like the Ford Focus Electric that we drove, the 2014 with the much shorter range. So when I found out that this was for sale with everything that I kind of wanted out of it, leather seats, nice paint, everything, I jumped on it. I wanted it, and I've enjoyed driving it. I really do like the drive. I like the feel of it. The comfort on this is good. The space, okay, trunk space could be better, but it does work for what I need it for. I'm happy. The thing is, I made the mistake of assuming that a school that is almost 100% dedicated to auto mechanics, working on cars, repairing vehicles, and even has an electric vehicle course would have chargers. They don't. So that's my issue. It's not so much the problem with the car. The car works well. It's performed exactly the way that I expected it to. It's just when I get to school, I have nowhere to charge the car. And that completely changes the game, because this car takes, you know, if it's empty, maybe 6 hours total to charge up from completely empty. It's more like 4.5, 5 hours. So if I had a charger at school, I'm there for 5.5 hours every day, bam, car's fully charged. But they don't have one, and there doesn't seem to be any hope to get one, which means my commute in, which already would take about an hour and a half, now takes longer, because when I drive in, I stop about 60 kilometers into my drive, as I mentioned, outside, and I have to charge up the car to level 3. And then I get to school, and instead of going to the building that has the school, I actually go about half a block further away, a little bit further than that, to a Chevrolet dealership. They have a public charger. Now the problem is they have one, and I don't drive a Chevrolet, so I'm not really priority to be using that charger every single night. So there have been nights that I have tried to use it, and either somebody has been using it or it has been unavailable, and that is the only charger in that entire area. So what I have ended up doing is getting stuck. Now this is, again, a very, I want to say, unique situation, because Montreal is an island. If you've never been to the city, don't ever come, because it's stupid. It's an island. There's like 4 ways to get off of it. And this province decides, hey, you know what? let's close an entire way to get off the island at night. But not only are we going to close that access, all the other accesses are also going to have lots of construction, so it's going to take you forever. So last week, as of filming this, they had closed the highway. It took me legitimately 3.5 hours to get home from school. I got home at 1 o'clock in the morning. I left at 10 o'clock. I got home at 1 in the morning, just before 10, got home just after 1. Why? Because the highway was closed. So I had to take this huge detour in my electric car to get home. I didn't have enough range. I had to turn off the air conditioning. For 2 hours sitting in traffic to get out of Montreal, I was sitting in minus 15-degree weather with no air conditioning on. And I finally was able to make it out of the city to a charger, plug it in. Level 3 cost me whatever it was, like $3-4, which isn't too bad. But I had to sit there for a while, still in the middle of the night, to charge up the car. The next night, exact same thing. So I tried to get off the highway first and used another level 3 charger that was on the way, which comes to our point. I mentioned that this car will do 42 kilowatts at a level 3 charger, but not all chargers are the same. So the ones that I use are Circuit Electric. It's in partnership with the government and the hydro utilities here in Quebec, and they work well. But there are some that don't use those. They're slightly different chargers. And the one that I used was not very good at all. It cost me the same amount of money for 15 minutes of charging, but instead of getting, I believe I usually get like 15 kilowatts of charge, right? So I go from less than half to pretty much, almost full, right? I like to go to 90% if I can. This one was still 15 minutes, still cost me $3, whatever. I only got like 6 kilowatts. So it wasn't using even half of the amount that this car can take in order to get charged up, but it still cost me the same amount. So that's why it's so important. If you find a charging station that has a little screen that shows you what you're actually charging at, the rate, that's very good. It gives you an idea of how much it's actually costing you per kilowatt and how much you're getting out of it. So I found out that way that there are differences between what's advertised as a 50 kilowatt charger. Some of them just will not charge even remotely close to that. So those are some things that I have learned. I don't necessarily get to find these things out when I'm driving a car on the Presley, because I'm not driving it enough long distance, long term to see these things. So these are limitations mostly here in the province, and that's the thing. This car still works very well, but those are the problems that I'm coming up with. Now, there's a couple other things too that I've learned driving this car for a while. Number one, this is something that I'm going to be talking about in a couple months, hopefully. It's not a problem, but Ford has issued a customer experience program on this vehicle because the telematics on this, the way that I can use the My Ford app to be able to remote start the car, remote lock and things like that, that's going out the window. It is being replaced with the Ford Pass app. We've talked about that a little bit when I did the Mustang Mach-E the first time, but we're going to be getting upgraded to that. It requires that I go and get the hardware on the car changed over from the 3G cell phone unit to a 4G unit. And there is a little bit of confusion when I go to the dealer to find out the service advisory, the actual TSB that comes out says that the hardware is supposed to be covered if I'm under the 5-year plan that would come with the vehicle. Well, the car's not 5 years old, so it should be covered, but then they're also telling me when they interpret it that I would have to pay for the hardware. Now, I don't mind paying for it if I absolutely have to. I think it should be included because I would like to be able to use the Ford Pass app. You get a lot more data and it's going to be quicker, because I do find that sometimes the My Ford app is slow, or it doesn't respond properly, or it takes a while for me to be able to remote start or lock the vehicle. So there's some good stuff that will hopefully be coming. The TSB says that it should be completed by March, so I do hope to get that going. There's another thing that I have learned by driving this car too, is the tires are not that good. Again, it's going to be a problem that can hopefully be easily resolved, but these are 20 millimeter thinner tires, or there's less width on them than the standard crappy eco tires that come with this. So I'm running 205s right now. It's a little small, and even Ford recommends at least 215s for the winter. And what I found is on snow, great performance, no problems whatsoever. These are Nokian Nordman 7s, but on ice, or if it's very slippery, absolutely zero traction. So it snowed here in Quebec a couple weeks ago, and it wasn't even that bad of a snowstorm, but I guess it was just on the cusp of freezing. So there was like slush, there was water that was on the road already, and then it kind of froze, and then there was ice and slush and snow and crap. So like I'd be at a stoplight, I'd try to go, and even with the smallest amount of power that I could give this car, the tires would just be spinning and I was going right into the ditch. So not a huge fan of the performance on these tires, though the snow performance has worked out decently so far. A couple of the times that I've gone to charge up my car at the level 3 at the middle of night, 11 o'clock at night when I'm coming home, the parking lot is typically full of packed in snow, and I do try. I want to see how it performs, so I'll go give it a little bit of extra acceleration, or I'll kind of chuck it into a corner and see, and it does grip incredibly well. So I'm impressed with the snow performance on these Nokian tires, not so much for the ice performance. So we're going to be testing that more. This is only the beginning of winter. I don't know if you can see here on the GoPro, but there actually isn't any snow outside right now. It all has melted. So I do plan on doing another video in about, I'd say, a month. Usually January, and then definitely in February. It snows like crazy here in Quebec, so I'm expecting some significant snow to be able to be testing this car in. But so far, the car is doing exactly what I expected it to. It's everything else that isn't really living up to my hopes. So do I regret it? I don't know. Somebody asked me this the other day. Had I known that there was no charging station at the school, would I have bought this car? The answer is no, I wouldn't have. If I knew 100%, if I'd been able to go to the school, or I'd been able to see, and I knew it wasn't there, and I knew there was no possibility of them adding it, yeah, I don't think I would have bought this, because I could go out and buy something that isn't as nice, that isn't electric, and then spend the remainder, the balance of that on gas. But I don't know, I can't bring myself to do it, because I do like this car quite a bit. And I know once we're done winter, after March, so starting in April and definitely like May and June, this car is going to be fantastic. I don't need to be driving with the heat or air conditioning. It's like prime time for the best weather. I can have the windows down a little bit and just enjoy it. And I probably won't even need to charge up on the way home. I should be able to get over 200 kilometers without air conditioning on this car, because I have been pretty good. I've changed the way that I drive. On the highways, I'm not doing 118 like I usually do, right? I'm doing less. I'm making sure that I'm being aware of how much energy I'm using as I'm driving around, and it is paying off, right? Like I said, it costs me about $4.50 per day to go back and forth to school. Compare that to the Bronco. I had that for a week, and yeah, it's obviously a much different vehicle, but that thing cost me $250 to drive it for a week, compared to $4.50 a day here. So this is costing me about $25 a week to go back and forth to school. On the weekends, don't do a lot of driving anyway, but not a whole lot of cost at all. So there you have it. That is the update so far on my little Ford Focus Electric. I do plan on doing a whole lot more mileage. We're only 5,000 kilometers into this journey, but I'm expecting to get at least another 5,000 by the time we get to our next update video, which will be more into the middle of winter. Now, if you have any questions about this episode, please let me know in the comments below. As I have mentioned several times now, because this is my daily driver, I drive this every single day, and I do quite a bit of driving with it. I am becoming very familiar with it. So if you have any questions about the Ford Focus Electric, or the Mark III Focus in general, I will do my best to answer, get back to you. I do try to get back to all the comments as quickly as I can. So let me know if you have any questions. Give a thumbs up to the video if you liked it. No need to thumbs down. Doesn't do anything now on YouTube, so don't waste your time doing that. And consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. We are going to be doing more stuff on my little Focus Electric here, but we do have some electric vehicles planned in the winter, and then we'll see too. Depending on how things go into spring, if I've got a little bit more time and disposable income to put towards some cars, we'll try to get some stuff that I didn't get a chance to do over the last little while. So thanks for watching, and until next time, take care.